Hi there, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Anita Adefuye, and it's always a pleasure to have you here. For those who don't know me, quite frankly, I've wear many hats, so much so that I'm tired of always listing out the things I do. But two quick things. One, I'll just give you a quick rundown of some of the things that I do. I'm a career coach. I'm an author. I'm a blogger. I'm a YouTuber. And in my 9 to 5, I work as a policy and strategy expert. And yeah, I also like to share about my thoughts on career, on advocacy around sexual violence and mental health. Quite frankly, I do a lot. So just look at the description of this page and you'll see what it is that I do. Secondly, I went through a phase of really trying to put out the contents that I have, and it was a hassle between being a mom, a wife, and all the different things that I do. So I decided I'm not going to edit my videos anymore. If and when I can, I get to it, and if I can't, yeah, so be it. The most important thing is the message, right? I'm glad you agree with me. Thank you so much. See, that's why I love you. Alright, if you haven't already, I encourage you to like this video. I would love to hear your comments. So please always leave me a comment. I'd like to hear your thoughts. I'd like to have you ask me questions if there is anything. And if you're yet to subscribe, please subscribe and hit that notification button so that you always know whenever I have a new video out. So I don't have to always, badge you with all those messages that y'all know I send. Alright, so quickly today I will be wearing two of my hats actually. I will be wearing the advocacy part that talks about mental health, but I'll also be wearing the hat of a career coach. Now, you should have gotten this video last week or sometime last month, quite frankly, and that's because I wanted it to, follow the theme, one of the themes of last month that is so dear to my heart. One of it is the Girl Child Day, and the other was World Mental Health Day. But I was out of town. Long story short, couldn't get to any video recording, so here we are. I just thought I'd still share with you because I feel very strongly that this is something important for me to talk about. So here we are. First of all, happy new month. I hope November is going well for you. And I really pray and hope that everything that you've set your heart to do this year is panning out that way for you. It sure is for me. Some things are even better than I hoped for. Some things, not where I needed them to be yet, but I can see progress and I'm so grateful for that. So I hope same is true for you, and I hope same is true for, I hope same is true for you. See, unscripted. Okay, so what are we talking about today? Today I want to talk about workplace stressors. Workplace stressors. So yes, emphasis on workplace and then stressors. Stress management, that can impact your stress, can impact your mental health. But what about when that stress is actually coming from work? Sometimes some people, they think when they leave work at work, but they don't know that the stress of the workplace follows them home and into their personal relationships, and that begins to backfire even on the work that they do, and then they're caught in this cycle. And I don't know if that's a situation for anybody here, and so that's why I want to talk about this. Many people might not know this, but for a very brief period, I had the honor and privilege of working as a consultant, managing a government-wide portfolio or on psychological health and safety in the workplace. You'll believe me when I tell you that I read the standard. It's called a standard, but it really is the National Standard on Psychological Health and Safety in the Workplace. I read that book back to back like it was my Bible. And to be honest with you, I'm yet to completely read my Bible back to back. I'm just going to be honest, right? And I love my Bible, but I read this book 3 times, trying to do the best for my job. Okay, that just gave me a little idea right in my head. Sorry. All right, back to focus. I need to focus. All right, so I read this book, and in the work that I did there, it really opened my eyes to how we all get stressed. And I should mention that I got into this job at the start of the pandemic. So the jokes were on me because 3 weeks in after the pandemic, I was in a place where I felt like I needed someone to consult with on my psychological health and safety. But I thank God for great bosses that I have or that I had at the time. I was able to talk through the challenges that I was experiencing. We actually used some of the best practices that the standard recommended, and were able to get me out of that place at that time. So I'm grateful for that. And so I just want to talk about what some of these workplace stressors are, because some of us might be super stressed and we don't even know why. but then we come home and we take it out on our loved ones. Whereas the stressor is really from work. So we want to make sure that that's not you. And you may resonate with one or two or more of these. So if you do, let me know. I'd love to hear about them. And even if not, it's something to just keep at the back of your mind, in case you come across one of these things. So, what are the workplace stresses? I'm going to focus on eight of them. I'm going to run through them very quickly. Y'all know I won't tell you what the problem is without giving you what the solution is. All right. I want you to be mentally stable. I want you to be mentally well. And I want you to be your best self. All right. So that's why I'm sharing this with you. So, number one, changes. Quite frankly, whatever, whether it's changes on structure around the organization, but every time there are changes within the organization, even changes as little as, even changes that are triggered by you, maybe you're changing a job from one job to another. It tends to trigger stress in us because we're moving from familiar to unfamiliar. And whether or not we like it, that whole concept of flight or fright, it's in, did I say that right? Flights or fights, not frights. Flights or fights. It's in all of us. And quite frankly, we all think about it, in that moment where we're like, should I just, to hell with this, put my hands up in the air and walk out of here? Or do I go through this change because we're unsure of what the changes would mean for us as individuals? And so it scares us. And when we're scared and feel threatened, truth be told, there's something called cortisol levels in our bodies. Y'all will read up in your biology if you don't know that. But it starts to really rise up in us and it causes us to feel really stressed out. And that needs to be managed. Number two, relationships. And this can be, we relate with people on different levels. Even the most seemingly self-driven or individualized jobs have some form of relationship to it. You're either relating with your direct supervisor, your direct reports, or you're relating with clients, and people who work in high clientele based organizations tend to feel the most stressed, especially depending on what you're dealing with. All right. So, for instance, people who maybe have to deal with clients that access things like housing benefits or income assistance tend to report the highest stressors. People who have to deal with who work in places like corrections tend to report higher stress because the job in itself is stressful. The people you have to relate with, the nature of that relationship is stressful. Some people have bosses and or direct reports that stress them out. And some people, it's just even the nature of the work itself. I mean, if you're in a job where talking to people stresses you out, come talk to me. Let's get you into a different direct path. All right. So you're in the wrong field, you're in the wrong profession. We need to get you out. You deserve to be happy going to work. So the relationships around you really take stock. Are they stressing you out? If they are, something needs to be done. So, number three, job role and demand. So I've talked about this a little bit, in that sometimes just the nature of certain jobs, because of the kinds of clientele you talk to, is stressful. But the job in itself as a whole can be stressful. Now, I'll give you a very good instance, right? There are some jobs that they'll tell you right off the bat when you're applying that the hours in this job is undefined, meaning that you can be pulled into work at any time. I've heard people, and I kid you not, I've worked with clients who would say, after 4 years of nursing school, I hate nursing. Why? Because it's shift work. I don't want to stand for 13 hours on my feet. And I'm there thinking, didn't you know all that before you went into nursing? All right, so the job in itself really is stressful. I've heard people who maybe have to work at warehouses. If the job itself and the role in itself is stressful and that stress continues to stay, you either need to find a different path or you need to find ways to make sure that you're distressing yourself after work every single day. So pay attention to the kind of work that you do. And this is why it's important to be in a job that you love. For me, my work energizes me. I'm kidding you not. My work actually energizes me because I love what I do. All right, and maybe even what to do when you're not in a job that you love. We'll talk about that at some other time. But I love what I do, and in and of itself, the work itself energizes me. Don't get me wrong, I have my down and low moments on my job and times, and all of these factors, one or more of them can stress me out for whatever reason per time. But overall, I love what I do. All right. So number four, feeling of lack of control. So yeah, Believe it or not, I actually paused this video to go pick my kids up from the school bus. So I might try to figure out where I stopped. Okay, so number four, feeling of lack of control. Quite frankly, and this is tied again to number one and pretty much everything else, quite frankly. You can't control the demands of your job, especially when they change with time. You can't sometimes control the relationships because you don't know who the clients are going to be. You don't know um, who the new manager might be or your direct reports, and you don't know what changes can come. So, but when all of that is put together and you feel a sense of lack of control, it can actually create stress in us. And so, when we feel like nothing is going the way we want, and sometimes it might even just be one of those days at work that you've planned out everything you need to do, but then nothing seems to align for you, that can cause us to be stressed out at work. And then number five, lack of support. Lack of support can come from either not feeling heard at work, or not feeling like your ideas are supported, or not feeling like and then these people who tend to be in any minority groups, either as women who are in male dominated roles, might feel this way. Visible minorities, if you're in a place like Canada or in Europe or anywhere in North America, quite frankly, you understand what the concept of visible minority is. And you can tend to sometimes feel out of place, feel like no one supports you, no one supports your culture and your instinct and your uniqueness. And so any feeling of lack of support in and of itself can cause stress. So when you start to hear yourself say things like, nobody takes me seriously, nobody really listens to me, you're stressed, all right? And you may or may not know it at the time, but you're stressed and you need to do something about it. Number six, perceived lack of time. This can sometimes come from a place of lack of planning or too much job workload. And quite frankly, when I remember the standard that I told you about, and I encourage you, check the Canadian, I'll put the right organization that is in charge, either it's Mental Health Association of Canada or Canadian Mental Health Association, I can't remember, but I'll put it in the description just so you can go and read and learn more about the they call it the 13 psychosocial factors that affect our psychological health in the workplace. So when you think about physical health and all its challenges, these are psychosocial factors, okay? And so perceived lack of time can come from workload management, all right? And that's one of the thing factors that was mentioned in the standard. And when you have that perceived lack of time, it actually affects your productivity. It makes you want to, and we all react to these things differently. When some people are stressed, they just go, 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 and put everything else at risk and on the back burner. And by the time they're done, they're feeling guilty for either leaving their families behind or whatnot. And for some other people, is that it actually makes them want to crawl into bed and hide, which either whatever option we go with is not healthy because it only adds to our stress cycle. All right, so but when you feel like you don't have enough time to do all the things you have to do, that can create and cause stress. Number seven, feeling unseen and unrecognized. Again, this ties very well into number five, which is lack of support. When you feel like nobody's seeing me, nobody's hearing me, it makes you question if you're valuable. It makes you question your worth. All right, it makes you question that, and if you don't like the answers you're getting, it can impact your sense of self-esteem, and we don't want that to happen. But that can cause stress. And number eight, which is the last one, feeling stuck. You feel like you don't see any career side, any career growth or advancement in sight. There are people who are in fields or positions, and I've heard people tell me this, that I just don't see what next for me after this role, and what do I do? And it's stressing them out because they feel like it's almost as if they even start to feel resentment towards the organization they work for, because maybe the organization itself is a small organization. Maybe they're looking at certain benefits they feel like they don't want to lose out on because as a result of leaving that place, or they just don't see any sight of growth, or maybe the opportunity is there, but you've been passed over several times that you start to feel like you might never be able to break out of that place. So all of these things can really cause stress in our bodies, in our system. Which of them have you experienced? You can experience any of these at different times. I have experienced a number of these changes. I had to change a In fact, you don't even want to know. In 7 years of being in Canada, you don't want to know how many jobs I've worked. People think it's very easy for me. It's not. At the time of making this video, I am not at work, and that's because I have the day off to. It's one of my days off in between my last job and the next one. So, go figure. I have changed jobs a lot of times. It has its own levels of stress. That also means the relationships are changing, and in and of itself, it can cause stress. It takes a while to really get to know people, and just when you're getting in the groove of knowing them, sometimes you have to up and leave. I mean, c'est la vie, but it's what we have to deal with sometimes. So really, I get all of these things that I've also been in places of perceived lack of time. Like I said, I had to pause this video to go pick up my kids. Yeah, I didn't have enough time to finish all that. If you think that didn't stress me, then think again. I know sometimes some of these things are little compared to the bigger things, but the truth is that when they continue and they stress us, it tends to leave us feeling extremely stressed, and you don't want that because that will impact your mental health. I heard the story of a man who just up and stressed himself at work, and quite frankly, workplace suicide is very high because people go through all of these stress levels and never really deal with them. Which brings me to the next part of this video, which is how to deal with these stressors. Number one, have a personal career vision and goal and plan. This would help take care of any changes and uncertainties. Even so much as when the company starts to change for whatever reason, you can tell when your value system and your career goals don't fit within that system anymore, and you know whether to either make adjustments, talk to someone, or exit the place. Number two, set clear and realistic expectations for yourself. Quite frankly, the truth is that sometimes we get so stressed out because we have these lofty goals for ourselves that honestly aren't as realistic as we might think. And when we feel like we're falling short of those expectations, it will cause us to feel stressed because then we feel like we're not in control of whatever is going on or playing out around us. Number three, be more self aware about yourself, the way you relate to people, to things. Seek to understand others. It's easier to anticipate, accept, or approach others, about the change of their behaviors. When you seek to understand them, it's easier. All right, when you seek to understand how your boss relates, what they want, how they like things done. Even going through school, this works for me. I tell people, and if you haven't seen that video, I encourage you to go look for it and watch it because the video where I talked about how to succeed as a student in Canada. One of the things that even all through my schooling years I tend to do is understand what does this lecturer want? What are they looking for? How do they like questions to be answered? I apply the same rules to my job and the people I work with. When a client comes, I'm asking, what is this person really trying to get out of me today? What are they really looking for? And that helps because then you can personalize responses, whether it's email. I hate personally, I don't like when people just give me scripted messages, and sometimes the scripted in itself answers the question I'm looking for, don't get me wrong, but also just really digging through to say, what is this person really trying to ask? You've gotten a scripted email before and you're like, I know this, but this is what I'm asking, and you're hoping that the person really sees what you're asking. All right. And so when you seek to understand before you ask to be understood, it makes relationships easier and pretty much anything else easier. Number four, do not make assumptions. Assumptions. Do not make assumptions. When you are unclear, ask questions. Assumption is the lowest form of knowledge. It is the lowest form of knowledge, and that is so true. In fact, dare I say, it is no knowledge at all. Don't make assumptions, okay? When you're unclear, ask questions. Number five, find ways to create your own visibility. Build relationships across the organization. Don't just stick to your little unit, your little branch, your little division. Don't stick to it. Even if it's a big one, don't just stick to it. Seek to make relationships. I'll tell you a quick story. One time I was in one of my buildings, I'm starting to lose track of work experiences. And there was an actual bomb scare. And my door was closed. I just changed offices. And the new office I was in didn't have any windows or any space where you can see who is in there or not. And I had my earpiece on. I was listening to music, something I tend to do when I'm working. and I really want to focus and I know how to zone out on my environment. I won't hear a thing if I don't want to hear it, even if there are 100 people talking at the same time. And I was zoned out. But by the time I was done work and I was about to leave, no, after a while, someone came and knocked on the door, and I could just, and I felt, who's that person? I looked out. It was the security guy from downstairs. And he was like, I didn't see you come downstairs, so I got worried and I knew you came in this morning, so I had to come look for you. There was a bomb scare. The whole building had been evacuated for, at that point, over 20 minutes. Nobody knew I was there. Now, imagine if a bomb really did go off. Relationship was what saved me that day. Yes, I can say God, and it's true. But relationship also, if God wanted to help me and I refused to build that relationship and there was truly a bomb that day, maybe, who knows? I probably won't be here, but here we are. Thank God. All right. And so, really, build relationships across. People thought I was crazy every time I stopped to say hi to that guy. Every time I would maybe sometimes offer buy him coffee or just really take my time and chat with him and get to know him. People thought I was crazy, but look how that played out. All right, so um, create your own visibility, whether it's with your higher ups. Learn to get comfortable with speaking about your work. You do amazing work. Own it. Okay? Own it. Number 6, keep a personal career journal of your successes and accomplishments. And learn to speak up when someone tries to steal your shine. You know what those kind of people that try to steal your shine? They come up to the meetings and then they go like, oh yeah, I had this great idea. No, it wasn't their idea, it was yours. But then you're there sitting down and keeping quiet and smiling through the whole thing like, oh no, it's okay, let them speak. No. Speak up. Own your work. The same way you own your mistakes, own your work. All right, so keep a personal career journal. Why is this important? Sometimes when I am stressed and I feel like I don't know what the heck I'm doing, imposter syndrome, when that happens, I can go back to some of those things and I start reading them. And it reminds me of the things that I've achieved before. And there's just something about realizing that you have successfully done something before and you just say, I can recreate this. What were the steps I took? Because the journal allows you to show the steps you took to correct the errors. More so, a little interview secret. Keeping a journal like that actually helps you find things to pull out of very easily when you show up for interviews, because then you look at what the job is asking for. You remember, oh, I've done this before. You can reference it. And you know how they ask you those questions like, tell us about a time. You're like, girl, I got you. Anyway, why am I speaking like that? It's not a bad way to speak. It's just, sometimes I like it. Focus. All right. So number 7, be the change you want to see. With time, people will mirror you. And you don't want to see what you look like in the reflection of other people, a reflection of yourself and other people, right? The truth is that, I once was having a conversation with two of my teenagers. They're no longer teenagers, they're young adults now, but they were not talking to each other. And I said, hey, what's up? So I wanted to resolve the situation. Called them both and I asked the one, why are you not talking to her? And she gave me her reasons. But then the other person's reason was really interesting. I asked her, I said, why are you not talking to this person? She said, well, I'm just matching her energy. And believe me, she said it with such attitude. I cuddled my husband and I just burst out laughing because it was very interesting that, and we did see that. She tried her best to reach out to the other person who was just being, and so she decided, you know what, I'm just going to mirror to you what you're doing to me. Now, it doesn't really help. Because at the end of the day, and I asked her, I said, but are you happy with yourself being that person? Because that's not who you are. And she said, no, actually, I'm frustrated. It is exhausting. I can't keep up. I just want to make peace. And she started apologizing to the other person, like, whatever it is, I'm sorry, please, can we just get past it? Because the truth is, when people mirror who you are to you, you better like the results that you're seeing. Because if you don't, then you need to also look inwards. I know it's easy to think that when workplace stressors exist, it's all about the workplace in and of itself. But what is your attitude? What is your mindset that you're going in there with? Because if it is wrong, no matter how good that workplace is, you would always find a reason to be frustrated and stressed out. So look within. And if you don't see what you like, then do your best to be the change you want to see. Sometimes people act the way they act because they don't know any better. So teach them, be a pace setter, be a pioneer. Let me get into all the motivational talk. All right. And number 8, which is the last one, do not be shy to leave when the time is right. Y'all, one of the greatest things that, yeah, there are a lot of things that my mentor has told me. Y'all know him, the one that I specifically mentioned when it comes a lot to career talk and all that. One of the things that he told me one time that really helped me was organizations never have a short memory. Not that I never forget, but they sometimes tend to have a short memory. You know, Sometimes you do everything there is to do, but then the workplace continues to be toxic. Leave. It's that simple. I don't care if you don't have the next job lined up for you. Things will align, but leave. Prioritize your peace, your sanity, your mental health far and above anything they can possibly give you because you are so worth it. If it's not working out, if they refuse to see value in you, and you know that humanly speaking, you've done all that there is to do, you're going in, giving yourself all the pep talk and reminding yourself, of the value of having the right mindset, but then it's not working out. Because trust me, some places are toxic, period, and they refuse to change. You can do all you want to do, but they refuse to change. Child, leave. Did I just say child? Just leave. All right, and I'll leave it at that. So that's what it is. Workplace stressors. I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear which of these ones resonate with you, either as part of the stressors or the solutions to deal with them. I look forward to seeing you and having you in the next video. Once again, welcome to the month of November, and I hope that you stay and remain blessed and you finish this year strong. So take care. Oh, can I add a bonus, by the way? One more thing that I tend to do for my workplace, I pray for my workplace. I pray for my colleagues. I pray for the organization. In and of itself, it's hard to stay mad at people you pray for. Try it sometime. All right, so yeah, that's it. Take care. Have a good time of your day. Have a good rest of your day. Have a good morning, depending on what time you're listening to this. And I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share this video. You would always help someone. And take care. Bye.